Now, going to call the Kern Valley Healthcare District Board of Directors to
Out of order.
that's why I showed up. Call of order, sorry, it's the pink, it's blinding me or something, I don't know. At 2:03. So, we're going to look at the approval for, the agenda. So, does anybody have any questions for the agenda?
I don't have a question actually, except that we have no closed session report. Nothing has changed on the Benson matter since the last board meeting. And so I don't have anything to report. If you want to just table that item to a subsequent board meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one thing, this proposal. It's so ridiculous, I want to throw up.
Well, you can throw up when we get ready to discuss that.
Can we put it up when we get some specific information?
We're gonna take action on it one way or another, and so whether we reject it or accept it or table it, so we will take action on it today.
Okay.
Okay, when we get to that section, Jean, but thank you.
Motion to approve the agenda with the deletion of the closed session.
I'll second.
John. John, will you leave the flags loose so I can ask before Mark? Can you do the invitation for me today? Okay.
You just have to take a vote.
It's 5
Okay.
o'clock. Pete. It's a fine.
So if we could take a vote for that motion. John?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
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 Where is he? Oh. Forgot. Forgot. All right, perfect. And I'm a yes. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Please place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. If you're a veteran, you may salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you who would care to join me, Heavenly Father, we ask that you come before us for this Board of Directors meeting for the Kern Valley Healthcare District, help guard, guide, and protect us and make right decisions for the community and the healthcare district going forward. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. And for the mission statement that we have, I'm going to read it this time. We will provide high quality, efficient patient care services that respond to community and provider needs. We will provide leadership in health promotion and education for our residents, patients, medical staff, employees, and community throughout the district. So we are going to move on to public comment. If there's anybody here that would like to, from the public, that would like to have their comments heard. Nobody? I don't see anybody else up there. Okay, we will move on. Thank you. We're gonna move on to D, which is the consent agenda. Following the items are considered routine and non-controversial by hospital staff. Consent items are listed as action items and may be approved in one motion if no member of the board or audience wishes to comment, ask questions. If comment or discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
No, hold on. I want to pull items 4, 5, and 6 from consent.
Okay.
And that'll be considered under new business, yeah.
Okay, so 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
That's all right.
That's all I had.
That's all. Anybody else? You do not. Okay, thank you. So, we're going to accept it as presented with the removal of the items 4, 5, and 6, which is the finance committee meeting minutes, the unaudited financial statement, and the product line summary. And we will move those to new business. Okay. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Thank you, Ross.
Yes.
You're a yes, we're gonna start that already. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. And Fred's a yes. Gina, what are you, what are you hiding? You're so
Oh.
quiet.
Back up a little bit.
Yes, twice in case you missed me the next time.
Perfect. Good.
We got 6 votes for this one.
Well,
Yes.
perfect. All right, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
So then we're going to, did everybody read the committee minutes, questions on those? No, because we don't bring them here. They're just for us. They're written for us now. So if no one has any questions for, on the minutes,
We've already approved them.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. And now we're on the number 7 for the contract reviews.
No, already approved. Item E.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, the whole thing. Sorry. That's why I take the medication. Okay.
We got you.
Can you write for me too?
No problem.
Okay, Tim, you're up with the chief executive officer report for information.
These are going way too fast now. Used to have a time before they get to me, but anyway, we did get confirmation just this day with regards to the grant approval from HCI for the $180,000, which was for the testing. I think we talked about it earlier. There was one form that was not completed correctly on their end, and so they've resent that to me for signature, which I'll do here this afternoon. Anthem Blue Cross Medi-Cal contract was finalized, but we're appearing to have some difficulties in bringing and having getting some of our patients approved for visits to our clinic. And I'm working with Andy working on this right now. As a matter of fact, I just got a hold of him in Phoenix this morning, trying to figure out what's going on with that. He's going to reach out to Anthem to find out what the problem is and get it solved quickly, because I said it's affecting our ability to get patients cared for. So I will report back as soon as I have some answers to that. I know Greg brought this up at a meeting the other day, and so we're on it right away. We also were informed, Carrie and I participated in a meeting, which was as part of our client advisory council meeting with CPSI, and they announced some changes that are coming out, which, you know, some of which we're not allowed to talk about yet. But one of the big ones that did come out was the fact that our software that we use for the SNF, AHT, American Health Tech, is going to be going away. And Carrie, I don't know if you put that in your report or not.
I did.
Okay, so anyway, that's just as an update to that. Yeah, they're basically going to be shelving that. They're forcing us to go to a point-click care, which is pretty much known as the gold standard for SNF systems out there. And apparently they've partnered with them to try and move that business over to them from CPSI. That will be a significant change to our systems in there, and a lot of work, obviously, because of interfaces that we have going right now with lab and x-ray and these kinds of things to get results into that. So Carrie will be reporting on that as we go along, as we learn more. Carrie, what's the time frame for that happening? Is it December?
Just to back up for a second. So Point Click Care purchased AHT. That's what
Okay.
this is about.
Yeah.
So with that purchase, we can go with whomever we want. The logical choice, though, seems to be point click care. We have to have a system in the SNF. AHT has their regulatory support. The development is stopped already for AHT. The only thing that's currently supported for that system is regulatory support, which will continue until sometime in December of this year. But we're moving quick to switch systems because that's a huge project. It's going to take lots of different people involved in to get that right. So I don't have any sort of timeline. This just happened like 2 weeks ago. We're getting them information about our needs in that system. A lot of staff's attending different webinars to understand how the system works, demos really. And stuff's hitting us as it hits us, and we're making decisions as it hits us. But that's the likely thing we'll be doing, is going to point click care. Tim's point is true. There's interfaces and stuff involved, but there's lots involved in this. And I don't have all the answers yet because nobody's told me. We're just waiting for their proposal to get put together. I can tell you that pricing for this, the guarantee as part of the sale of this between AHT being bought by Point Click Care, is that pricing is going to stay the same for the next 2 years for their current customers. So we're not going to see an increase. There's going to be stuff that we have to pay for, though, with interfaces, with stuff. There's going to be these one-time costs that are going to hit us. But pricing's not going to increase for 2 years. And then there's going to be a ramp up at year 3, and then it's full board and whatever PCC charges by year 4. Okay, so that's kind of all I know right now. We're working on it and coming up with a plan as soon as we can put one together.
Okay, and then you'll provide us more information, but then we'll be aware of what the new cost will be like in 2 years. Then
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even got the proposal yet. So I got them some information about our needs yesterday, so they're working on it.
Okay.
Yep.
And you think that transition's going to be as easy as possible?
Transition's going to be a mess.
I know. I just thought I would say that because you're
We
always
train.
transition of something.
Yeah.
So
That's what I didn't want to do.
that's.
I only do the ones we need to do.
No, well,
This is
gonna have to be a
this is-
need though.
It's now a need, yeah, but it's not an elected need. This is something that there's no choice in this. So,
Well, so the SNFs had the other program for quite a while, haven't they?
yeah, 5-6 years probably.
Yeah, so that's a long time to have the same program, software and stuff.
Yeah.
In today's,
Yep.
things move quick, so, okay.
Let me add that if the district decided it did not want to go with point click care, blah, 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 they would have to do a public bidding process, which is time consuming and expensive, and the transition is expensive. So because they are acquiring your existing provider, you don't have to go out and bid it again.
Okay.
But if you wanted to go with the new one, you would have to bid it, and that is quite a process in and of itself.
Good point.
It's very unlikely that we would even want to do that.
Okay.
Just because, as Tim mentioned, I mean, it's kind of the industry standard for skilled
Yes.
nursing facilities.
Okay,
When you said there's no choice, I figured he would say something, because I told my wife that one time,
Didn't work.
and I found out there is another choice.
There's always another choice.
Yeah.
Her choice.
Yeah,
that's true. Or at my house, it's like, can I have both? That's the choice, so,
That's compromise.
Her way.
right, exactly, or this, or her. Okay, thank you.
I've got is, I'm pleased to announce that Cody Bulgarelli has been promoted as our clinic manager, replacing Greg.
Oh.
Going forward, and we interviewed him and Miranda, both applied for the position, and again, the decision was to move forward with Cody, which was completely fine with Miranda. I think they were both very interested in making sure that we maintain the operations of the clinic in the way it's going right now. And just very sensitive to anything that might disrupt that flow. So again, I congratulate Cody for that. Greg will be moving on. He will continue to see patients for us remotely by telemedicine. And then also 3 times a year, he will be on site to see patients in person. And he will also be taking on responsibilities for our QIP program and other physician incentive type programs that we have opportunities to. And so, again, we look forward to Greg taking on that role and so forth. So in the meantime, he's been working with Cody, trying to catch up Cody and teach him everything he knows at this point in time before he officially takes all that. So again, I thank Cody and I thank Greg for your help with this. Let's see.
I've got a question, so you don't have to back up too far.
Sure.
Andy Working,
Yes.
can you, I don't know if all the board members know who he is and what he does. Can you explain how?
Andy is our contract specialist for negotiating our managed care contracts. He's been with us for many, many years. And been working with him on this Anthem Blue Cross change, because again, this was one that came down relatively quickly when Health Net did not get the contract for the Medi-Cal providers for Kern County. So Anthem came in, and that was a pretty massive effort to get that contract approved, which we did. We still have some things we've got to work out. As I brought up earlier, we have some issues going on right now whereby some of the patients are having difficulty getting approvals to be seen. There was some kind of a issue with, and we're trying to find out where it is. We believe it's on the provider side that recognized our facility as a IPA, which it's not, and so forth. And so apparently this is an issue where we've reached out to Dignity. I know Sherry's been involved with this. Dignity's basically throwing their hands up and say we have similar problems. It's not on their side, so it's on the health plan side. And so Andy is working on that as diligently as he can to get that open so their patients can get access to care. So.
Okay, he's working, how is he working, as a consultant?
Yes, correct.
Okay, how long, when we need something local here that we don't want to call him from, who does his job here that's full-time, that knows what's going on all the time? We don't contact,
Go ahead, someone say something.
we don't contact him very often, if I recall, because I used to look at who we paid and how we paid him, and his name wasn't real regular.
It's a monthly agreement we have with him. It's about $1,200 a month or something like that. I can't remember what the exact number is. And like I said, he's on every year. He just continues to keep rolling these contracts and going back for new rate increases. What he does was he compiles us with other critical access hospitals and rural hospitals throughout California, so that we have critical mass in order to negotiate better pricing than we would get by ourselves. And in some cases, we actually would lose money in some of these negotiations. But with his efforts, we've been able to do quite well. And so the Anthem contract actually was a significant increase for us, especially with the Medi-Cal. So he does pretty good work, I have to admit.
Okay, and he's in Arizona or somewhere?
No, he is up in Northern California, I believe.
Okay.
Dave, do you know?
Okay. But my point is.
Yeah.
Do we just need a consultant, or we need somebody who knows what's going on most of
the local work that's done is usually done by Sherry, Sherry Jordan, and so forth, the Debbie Oaf.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, so.
Very quick.
Marie's staff. She deals with the medical staff, getting them credentialed for the plans.
He does the health plan credentialing too.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and the two of them connect once in a while, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that was my question on.
No other questions?
No.
Okay. And the last thing just is, last month the board asked me to, they approved us removing an item from our asset register, which was our ICU monitors and ER monitors that we had. And I'll go ahead to direct me to dispose of those appropriately. Through Christine Polito and her efforts, she'd reached out to numerous agencies trying to find someone that was willing to buy them from us, even to take them off our hands. There were no bidders on that. And so we reached out locally to the community here to see if there was a need. We did have one of the local veterinarians who was thrilled with the opportunity to get the monitors that they could use within our community for our animals that are in trouble. And so that is what we're going to be doing. But like I said, there were numerous efforts and calls made to various companies that buy used equipment and so forth. And because these were end of life units, there was nobody wanted them. No interest.
Well, at least we found someone that could use them.
Yeah, here now.
Us,
We used them up.
right?
That's my report.
All right, thank you. And then for moving on to old business, Greg?
So recruitment efforts continue. Over the Christmas break, no one really was interested in looking for positions, but we have two main recruiters that are working on physician recruitment. I've done two interviews since the last board meeting. Both of them are physicians who have a lot of interest in our position. We don't have any problems really with any of the candidates about our compensation structure, benefits. It's mostly coming to a rural environment or commuting into a rural environment where we see our struggles. But we have one physician who's coming from a physician with similar, kind of similar to our community, and he has a lot of interest specifically in being in a small community like this. So that one looks promising. That will be the first weekend of March. And Cody and I will be working on an interview while he's here. And then we have another physician who we spoke to a couple weeks ago. He has a lot of interest. He's a third-year family medicine resident in the Midwest, and he has some personal things going on. Well, he just had a baby, so there's a lot going on in his life. Well, his wife had the baby actually. But anyway, they have interest in our position, so they'll be. He's looking at possibly coming out in April. I don't have a commitment from that one yet, but the other one we do have commitment on.
Well, that's good.
We're continuing looking, working with our recruiters, and had some other interest outside of the recruiters too, but haven't seen any fruits from that one yet. So I'll keep reporting.
Thank you.
So now that you're gone, Cody is a manager. Will he work with you or eventually take over recruiting?
So it's going to be difficult, obviously, because I'm not going to be here in doing obviously on-site interviews, but I think I'll be pretty valuable.
You're very valuable.
Well, just for helping with understanding where different physicians are at, because it's kind of understanding a new graduate and the things that they're looking for versus someone who's seasoned. And this, these two candidates that we're looking at right now are good examples. One of them is a very seasoned physician. One of them is just getting out of residency. So they look for different things. So I'm really comfortable with the reimbursement structure that we have. So, Tim and I, definitely talk about that before we start looking at offers. So we'll kind of be doing it as a team, but when they actually come on site, it would be Tim and Cody and other clinic providers that would be facilitating the actual visits. But
you're going to stay in tune with us and the recruiting part of it.
Yes, and I'll still probably, even if Cody is doing most of the recruiting kind of work, I'll still be reporting to Current Health Systems because they're offering us money to help with physician placement. So for a sign-on bonus, so I have to do monthly reports. I just submitted my report for January. I submitted it this morning.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah, you've been working on that quite a bit. It's hard to find physicians lately. For everybody, it's been crazy. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
So we're gonna move on to new business, and we'll add the The one's back, yeah, we'll add that at the end, if that's okay, we don't need to do them first, so. For new business, new administration building bids. Bob,
Am I talking to that, Tim, or are you?
Tim, do you want to?
You've got the best information on it.
Okay.
I'll chime in.
You know, the good news was we got 3 bids. The bad news is,
If you come over here, then.
sure, the bad news is what the pricing came in at.
yeah,
So there was obviously some questions, as I understand it, you know, it had designed the Taj Mahal. So I brought the plans that are approved by the county that I'd be happy to review with anybody who would like to, or we can lay them out here and I can go through them. I really expected the pricing to be in the 250,000 at most. It came in at double that. Anyway, so
I think that was Tim's comment that he made was like, this is more than what the building costs.
Right.
I mean.
oh, I know, and the scope of work is a very small portion of the building. And we're literally taking the 2 suites and we're putting that had been opened up for the church sanctuary. We're putting the wall down the middle. On suite B, we were adding a portion of a wall to create a storage room for records and a T-shaped wall of 60 inches high. And that was it, to put desks around. On the other side, we were creating a couple of offices for medical records and some offices in the back because the area is larger than medical records needs. Some offices in the back for other people that need to be relocated as part of the project, such as IT has to be relocated from their offices during that portion of the work. So there's like 4 offices in the back that would be used for people to float in and out of as the different phases happen. And that's the scope of the work. There's 2 restrooms in the back that had to be redone to be ADA accessible. And the air conditioning, there's existing air conditioning units simply reducted to the rooms that we're creating in that large space. Electrical wise, of course, is running the power out to where the desk locations would be in each of the offices. And that's literally the scope of work. That's why I was.
The walls go all the way to the ceiling?
All of them, well, in the offices on the one side, yes. Because you need that so that, you know, people have privacy for their phone conversations and various things. In the billing area, the wall they went this high because they're all working on the same thing. It'd be very similar to the situation where they're at.
Basically one wall that goes all the way.
Yeah. Yes, and then on the C side, there's other walls that go all the way up. Because it's differing functions. There's medical records area and there's offices for other people and you don't want those to be intermingled with just low.
The reason I'm asking it's how tall are the ceilings? 10 feet or 12 feet?
The ceilings are 10 feet high, so the walls are fairly high. They're 9.6, I think. Anyway, so you know the walls are a little taller than they would be in a normal house, but that's a few feet of lumber. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Bob,
Yes.
I thought you were done. I was just going to say, for the purpose of the record, if you could just tell us what the bids were and who they were.
Oh, and of course, I didn't bring that information, but myself. But the bids came from JTS was the lower bidder at 527,500. And the Go JRM out of Tehachapi was 627,302. They were the mid-price bid. And the high bid was JCJ Construction out of Ridgecrest at $650,906. Just.
What about the local contractors? Why none of them were interested? Did you?
My understanding is there was one person interested. He did not contact us in time to be able to bid the project. You know, in hindsight, if I'd have known about, I don't even know this guy. I've never met him. I didn't know his name at all. If he would have approached us sooner, you know, there would have been enough time that maybe he could have bid.
Supposedly, I'm understanding he can bond the project. I do not know if he is set up with the Department of Industrial Relations to do a prevailing wage job. I haven't had, Tim has asked me to reach out to him and find out if he is, so that he could possibly bid work in the future.
But you got one contractor to do everything, like the paving. $77,000 to put slurry around.
It has to do with it's a prevailing wage job, and that's what just kills us.
2-day job, I mean, $77,000. I had our local companies
Yeah,
to do about the same amount of work, and they bid $6,000 to me, and I thought they were out of their mind.
yes,
May I say something?
sure.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, so let me explain procedurally a couple things, and then let me tell the board what your options are in this circumstance. So because this project was budgeted to exceed $25,000, it had to be publicly bid. So Bob went through the process of putting it on the public bidding sites, and any contractors who went on and saw it were welcome to submit a bid. You can also, this doesn't preclude you from contacting local contractors or contractors you know from submitting bids, but you cannot favor local businesses. So you have to do the public bidding. They have to be registered with Department of Industrial Relations. It is a prevailing wage project, which usually drives up costs, 130, 140% of what you would expect on a private project. Because of the higher wage rates. So the district went through the formal bidding requirements. It received the bids, it opened them. The bids came in at double the estimated project cost. So at this point in time, we can't, because the project was bid as one project, you can't pick and choose work to be done. It's an all or nothing proposition if you want to award a contract for this project. So you can choose to award the contract to the lowest bidder, who we don't have any reason to believe is not a responsible bidder. So you can award the entire contract for the full amount to the low bidder, or you can reject all bids and direct staff to go back and re-examine the project and come to the board with a project that is feasible for the district from a cost perspective. So, it's either accept the low bid or it's reject all bids at this point in time.
Why was it bid as a one to start with?
What's that?
For example, you're gonna have a general contractor that's subbing out to paving. That's ridiculous.
Well,
It's not part,
So, Catherine,
yes, go ahead.
I move on Scott's recommendation that we reject all bids.
I do have a question, Scott. When you said we reevaluate the project, are we talking changing the scope of project, resubmitting to the county, and then going back out to public bid?
So this is what I would do. I think you and Tim need to sit down, maybe meet with Building and Planning Committee. You need to look at what the necessary items are to use that building as you want to use it, and then come up with a proposal at that point before you spend any more money going to the county or publicly bidding it. So I would come up with a plan that is presented to Building and Planning or the board and say, this is the project we are proposing to you, and ask the board for approval to go ahead with it.
Okay.
And we have a motion on the floor.
Second.
uh,
Sorry, Gene.
Okay, so Ross, do you want to repeat your motion?
That we reject all bids.
Reject all bids.
Yes, and just so everybody does understand, this is the RFP they were bidding on. And two places in here, it states Kern Valley Healthcare District reserves the right to reject any or all bids. So we're not going against any requirements.
And Bob, are you comfortable with Just trying to get costs lower perhaps, or whatever.
Well, sure, I'm not willing to spend this.
Absolutely, I'm 100% agree with you.
I don't remember discussing doing the paving around there. That building is set and that stuff has been deteriorating for 4 years.
Well, and that's why if we're rejecting these, that will go and we'll discuss that at a later time and then,
Yeah,
yeah,
understood.
everybody discuss
So
that.
you understand why the slurrying and restriping of the parking lot was required? It's to meet the new requirements for ADA. So there's requirements for, for the parking spaces, the ramps up to the building doors are too steep currently. So they were to be redone. And so as part of that work, it was to slurry and then restripe so that the ADA appropriate parking spaces would be there.
It can't be out very far. That building was made by an old man.
That's awesome.
But the ramps are too steep.
So we have a first and second.
Bob, thank you for presenting
So
this. And
I know.
I understand it's frustrating.
I'm kind of sick at heart and I don't know what the solutions are, but Tim and I will talk and we'll come back to the building and planning in a couple of weeks with some.
Okay.
So can I say something before we vote? Scott was just saying that the contractor has to be registered with industrial relations in order to do the prevailing wage. I wonder if there's any cost savings, if it's allowable for us to be that registered entity and do that bookkeeping to lower some of the construction costs. I don't know if that's an option, but if it is, I think we should explore that.
That's a Scott question.
Yeah, so any work that's $25,000 or more has to be publicly bid. So any projects that are $1,000 or more, you have to pay prevailing wage. So you have two things you have to keep in mind. So you're going to exceed the $1,000. So if it's 25,000 or more, you take it out to bid, it'll be a prevailing wage project. And both the agency and the contractor and all subs have to register with DIR, and it's given a project number. And then the contractor is required to keep certified payroll records. And then DIR may request a copy of those. You may get a Public Records Act request from a union or the Contract Compliance Center to see those payroll records. And so that's just the system that's been put in place in the last 5 years for public works projects.
So Scott,
There isn't any way around that.
question on that, can we act as our own contractor and put out the bids to all the subs?
Right. A good idea.
So that is called a multi-prime contract. And I would strongly discourage any type of multi-primes, because what happens is you're not a general contractor. So you're the owner. So you would not be the GC, which means every trade essentially is their own GC, which means rather than dealing with one point of contact in a general contractor who then has to deal with all the subs, you have to deal with each trade individually. Now, we did this, unfortunately, for the Tehachapi Hospital project, and we had 53 trades we had to deal with. And each one served as their own general contractor, essentially, and it increases the paperwork and workload on the district exponentially. It's always better to have one GC who you are dealing with, because then they have to deal with all the trades and all the subs.
Yeah, but we're paying such a premium for that. I wondered if there was a way around it.
It'd be nice if there was. There are construction manager at risk contracts. There's design build contracts. There are different methods for contracting the work. None of them are significant cost savers. They all have their pros and cons. I've done all of the projects with all those different methods. And for a while, the prime trade contracts were the big thing. And Lompoc did that for their facility. So everyone was like, oh, let's do multi-prime. And Tehachapi did it. It was a disaster. No one really does multi-prime anymore. So, yeah, I mean, you could do design build. It's less than $1 million. So maybe you can't do design build. I'd have to see if you can.
Nearly $1 million.
So the design build is all the rage these days, but there really isn't any evidence that it's a cost-saving method for construction. It's just you deal with one contractor. They design it, they build it.
So we purchased this building for $400,000. We're doing basic interior remodel, nothing to the value of $500,000. And we're supposed to just suck this up? It just doesn't make any sense.
I think it's important at this point for staff to go back and revisit it and then come to the board. Everyone has lots of concerns about this, but I think that if we sit down, if staff sits down and comes up with maybe phased work, or some other method for doing it, and comes back to the board, that it probably makes sense at that point in time to hash through all of those issues. Because one, we just don't have the information right now. But yes, everyone is concerned with the cost of the project, especially relative to the value of the building.
Yeah. Yeah, and our revenue as a public agency, we bring in about $400,000 a year in tax revenue, which makes us subject to this law. Yet it kicks up the cost of everything to us 2 or 3 times.
Well, whether or not you get ad valorem property tax revenue, because there are public agencies that don't get ad valorem property tax revenue. Every public agency is subject to that law, and some quasi-public agencies are. So, yeah, it's a burden.
So can we deed this property over to our foundation and they can build it at half the cost?
So prevailing wage is a very complicated legal issue, and prevailing wage, courts have found that prevailing wage applies to facilities that public agencies lease where tenant improvements are made. So even if you sold for fair market value the building to the foundation, because you can't just give it away because it's public property. So even if you sold it to the foundation for some consideration, whatever that is, and then improvements were made for the benefit of the district, you still have to do prevailing wage.
Okay.
So the legislature and the unions have looked at this from ways that you and I can't even think about.
Yeah.
And pretty much nailed down that if it's $1,000 or more, public works, you have to do prevailing wage.
Unbelievable.
Bob, I was gonna throw out, just for the heck of it, something to look into. High wall cube.
Yeah.
What was your comment?
A lot.
I told him to look into is high wall cubicle.
What we can look into is we're not gonna build any walls.
That's
We're
my
simply
point.
gonna buy
You go
furniture.
high wall cubicle.
We're gonna buy furniture.
Well,
Because the space is air conditioned.
Well, once again, even if you do high wall cubicle,
Mhm.
it's a basic partition that
Mhm.
goes up,
I've
fully
put
removable.
lots of them in.
That's my point.
Yes. That's why I say we will sit down and look at options.
You bet. It's a good idea.
Thanks for all the
Yeah,
information.
it's a very good idea.
So,
Is there any,
have a motion on the, and first and second, and so if we take a vote, Jean, are you hiding?
No, he's.
Blocking your view, I know.
but Catherine, before you vote, is there any public?
Okay, I vote
Oh,
yes.
Is,
Tim's saying something.
Sorry,
yeah,
Tim.
is-
I just said, Catherine, just before we vote,
To take it
just,
to public
if there's
comment. if there's need to be.
We're both talking.
Yes, but I knew what I was,
I know. What are you saying, Tim?
He's saying what
I was
she's
suggesting, is there any public comment before we go to a vote?
I asked, is there anybody from the public that would like to make comments on this information? And there's nobody from the public on the Zoom or in the room, so we can go ahead
Okay.
with the vote.
Okay.
Yeah. Jean?
I vote yes, that we reject. Is that what we're doing now? Yes, that we reject it entirely, or the way Russ said it.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes.
Yes.
Could I vote twice on it again?
No, you can't, not this one.
So a quick
And I
question.
am, yes, go ahead.
Quick question, Scott. Could you maybe shoot me an email with verbiage of what I send out to the contractors? So I do it all properly, how we're rejecting.
Yes,
Thank
I will.
Big red stamp.
Appreciate that.
Oh, just kidding.
Well, I don't want to misstate something.
Send it with the
Somebody.
soundtrack too.
Yeah. That's true.
All right, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Ron, reject.
So, for number 2 in the new business, the committee assignments, I had spoke to each individual privately for the committee assignments, and everyone was agreeable to it. And so the new assignments will be as, for the monthly committee meetings would be for board personnel and policy committee. And on that committee will be Fred Clark and Ross Elliott and Fred to chair. For the, and you guys know when those meet, so I don't need to report that. But then for the finance committee, will be Jean Parks and John Blythe and John to chair that meeting. And then for the third monthly meeting will be the building and planning committee. And that will be the full board. And at this time, I will chair that committee. Because I'm gonna act like I need all the information I need. And then we're gonna move on to the quarterly meetings that we have. The first one is the governance committee. And on that committee will be myself and Fred Clark, and I will chair that committee. The other quarterly committee would be the compliance committee, and myself as chair will be on that, and that will be also with Ross Elliott by High Demand. Let me just put that out there. I didn't participate, but I listened, and it was definitely a high demand. I got all the hints and everything. Marked them off. So there's people that owe me, just putting that out there. So, and then the last one for that would be the Med Quality Council. And the individuals will be on that will also be John Blythe and Jean Parks. And Dr. Finstead is the one that chairs that committee. And does anybody have any questions or anything before we accept the committees as assigned for 2024?
I do not.
Now with Gene being on finance, does he get to hit me?
Well, this is, no, but there are recommendations that one sit on that corner and
You need the high
Yes.
walls.
no,
That's your definitive, Gene, there too.
I will, yeah, you guys could be in cubicles separated on Zoom in the same room.
We've started on finance.
Well, you know, and I know that, and I prayed over it, just put that out there.
Gets Mark's cone of silence, we can use that.
That is the best. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for being able to chair this board, but also to accept the responsibility and the positions in the committees. I think each one, I really thought about it, and plus the hints. But I've seen you guys work together before, and even though none of us always work well together all the time, but we're a good team. And I think we've made lots of good progress in this. So I expect to see good things this year, and I'm excited about that. So,
Catherine,
yes.
I thought this is well thought out. I think you did a good job on it.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we accept your recommendations.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, perfect. Do we need to vote on this one?
Says action.
Yep, we do then.
Yes, yes.
Jean? Good. John?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Yes, I'm a yes. Ross?
Any members of the public wishing to?
No, there's nobody here. Does anybody from the public make a comment? And there's still nobody there unless Dina wants to act like public. No, that's not gonna work. No,
Okay, I'm a yes.
thank
then.
you very much. Way to keep me in line. Okay. We're gonna go back to, for the new business, the information that we pulled from the consent agenda. Which was a number for the finance committee meeting minutes
And 5 and 6, right?
and 5 and 6.
Yeah, pages 16 through 35.
Okay, John,
So the reason why I pulled these, they all three kind of go together. During our finance meeting, there were mistakes made on the financials that needed to be corrected. They were going to be corrected before they came to the board, but when I looked at the packet, they were still had not been corrected. So as a board member and as treasurer, I am not comfortable. It's not acceptable to me to accept these and approve them. My recommendation would be to send them back to finance,
okay,
correct them, and then send them back to
okay, perfect.
board.
Are there any questions about that? No?
So our
That's
action
good there.
basically is to table.
Table
This, refer
and
back.
bring them back.
Basically, yeah.
All right, perfect, we will do that. Miss Heidi, you got that right? All right,
Do we need a motion second to table or no?
Oh, come
No,
on.
you can just table it.
no, because we just tabled it and moved it, so
Okay, okay.
since we removed them and put them under new business.
Okay.
Okay. And moving on to H. Well, what time is it? Wow.
Good.
Um,
Good at this.
well, you know, I got to go take my pain pill. Jeez, I'm telling you, this arm thing has been a meltdown for me. So director's comments. Jean, do you have any comments that we would like to hear?
Today was very constructive on what we were discussing in the building and planning, and all of us seem to think together on that. Even Ross had some good ideas.
I know it. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, come on. You're gonna have to walk through that one.
And, as far as the multi-bidding, I don't know the terminology exactly the way, but we're not Tehachapi with an 80 million or $120 million job. We got a little piss ass thing down there. That's bullshit.
Well,
Well said.
From the
Well said.
you can always go a skating rink.
That was, and you're doing, so far you're doing a great job.
I have nowhere to go but up.
Almost as good as Fred.
Oh,
You want that in the minutes, Gene?
all right. John,
No, I'd echo what Gene said. I thought it was a very constructive deliberation on the bids. I know it's very frustrating, Bob. I get your frustration, so I'm glad we all kind of have the same consensus that the cost is very high, so we'll just take it back to building and planning, see if we can come up with a plan B for it. And yeah, thank you for running your first meeting.
Oh,
I know it's being in that position before, it is a little nerve wracking at first, but I know you'll get the hang of it.
you know what? Yeah, and I really didn't think I'd have a problem, but then I was like running late and then I hit my arm on the door and I'm just like, I know, really? I'm gonna whine about it for all I can get, just so you know, we have about 10 weeks. Sorry. So. Fred,
I just want to say that I think this little bidding process that we went through with what little scope we have should prepare all of us for what we need to do on the main.
Boy, it makes me sick to my stomach, doesn't it?
It already gets me to the point of an, oh boy, here we go moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in this together.
Oh, we're in this together and I think it's gonna be one heck of a rough ride. So just be prepared, but good job, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. So the agenda item on the bids was certainly upsetting. But I don't want to lose sight on all the good things that this district does every day to serve our patients. And so I want to congratulate all of our staff for the fine work that gets done here. It's noteworthy and it's brag worthy. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I also wanted to say, this may be your last meeting, last board meeting. You'll be here next month?
Next month will be his last one.
Okay, never mind.
I'll roast it then.
I'll roast you then, sir.
Perfect.
All right. Okay.
Well,
Thank
maybe
you.
you can work around and come on your visits during the weeks, we're doing board meetings. Just
That'd be nice.
just throw that out there. So the only comment I have is that, first of all, thank you for allowing me to have this privilege, and I plan to learn as much as I can from it. It's been a hard couple of years with all the buildings and the financials and the things that are going on, and I see how horrible things are in the world in other communities, and I see the damage that brings it to our little community. And I think that we are making good gains. There's a lot of times we take, one or two steps forward and we get backed down a lot because of, the more we want to better ourselves, it's like the harder it is. And again, with the bidding and stuff, I was just myself, I was like, what? It's like you could build something, but I think the recommendations from Scott was good. And I think it's nice that we've started, 2024 and we're like all in agreement on these things. So that's good. And I appreciate that. The last thing I have to say is, we're doing okay when we don't have public at the meetings. Because that's when they come, is when they're unhappy. And so I think it doesn't matter what time or day or night we would have the meetings. If people were truly unhappy with us, with the worst problems, they would be here.
We'd have a full room.
Yeah, we would. And I've seen it like that before. Not during this time, but at other, different times. But so I just want to thank everybody for that, because you only hear from them unless it's a word by mouth to somebody saying, hey, you guys are doing a great job, or once in a while on Facebook, someone's saying you guys are really doing a good job. But when this room is full of people, it's usually because someone's unhappy. So I appreciate that, all the work that the staff and everybody's been doing. So that's my comments.
Can I say something?
You absolutely.
So I would like to introduce Lindsay Krusich. She is our new physical therapy manager,
Welcome.
and she's really taken hold of it.
Nice.
We're excited to see things.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'll probably be sitting here, somebody. Yeah,
Having fun, it's great. So
nice.
much learning.
What?
Yeah, nice. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you. And so, closed session, there's not anything to cover in closed session, correct, Scott? So we will be, skipping that. And, if there's nothing else, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 3:01.
Exactly an hour.
Fantastic.
Thank
Well
you,
done.
guys.
Everybody, Sherry Jordan, because I think